Listening test instructions. The listening test is about 50 minutes. There are 6 parts in listening test. You will have about 6 minutes to listen to each passage and answer the questions. The passage will be played once.
Hey, you look concerned. What's on your mind?
The final exam. I'm not fully prepared yet.
Well, don't worry too much. You still have 3 days.
Yeah, but 3 days will fly past in a wink.
Well, you still have time to cram things in your brain anyway.
Question 1. Why is the man looked worried?
You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good afternoon. I'm back again with the same problem. My car engine keeps breaking down and honestly, I'm losing patience. This is the 3rd time in 2 months.
I understand your frustration. Let's go over the details carefully. Can you describe exactly what happens when the engine fails?
Usually the car starts fine in the morning, but after driving for about 20 minutes, I hear a clicking noise under the hood, followed by sudden jerks. Then the engine either stalls completely or loses power.
Does it happen more when the car is cold or when the engine has warmed up?
It's mostly when the engine is warmed up. Yesterday, I was stuck at a traffic signal for almost 10 minutes before it just died again.
All right. Based on what you're describing, the issue could be related to fuel supply, ignition coils, or possibly overheating sensors. Have you noticed the temperature gauge rising unusually high?
Yes, a couple of times. I thought it was just the summer heat, but maybe it's connected.
That's helpful. Let's do a step-by-step inspection. I'll check the cooling system, the fuel injectors, and run a diagnostic scan. We need to find whether it's a recurring electrical fault or a mechanical one.
I really hope we get to the bottom of this. It's becoming unsafe for me on the road.
The man's experience at the traffic signal implies the mechanic's line of questioning shows that she is primarily the mechanic's reference to fuel injectors and cooling systems suggests
You will hear the second section of the conversation shortly.
All right, I've connected the diagnostic scanner. The error codes point toward irregular fuel pressure and a possible overheating sensor malfunction. Let me explain. When the fuel pump doesn't deliver consistent pressure, the engine misfires or stalls. At the same time, If the sensor wrongly signals the engine is overheating, it might cut off power to protect itself.
That makes sense. But why does it keep happening even after the previous repairs?
Last time, we replaced the spark plugs and cleaned the injectors, which fixed the symptoms temporarily, but the root issue seems deeper. I suspect the fuel pump itself is weakening, and the engine's temperature sensor may also be unreliable. Both could cause repeated breakdowns.
So if the pump fails, the engine doesn't get the right amount of fuel, and if the sensor malfunctions, the car shuts itself off.
Exactly. Think of it like your body. If the heart doesn't pump blood properly, or if a thermometer gives false readings, the system either struggles or shuts down unnecessarily.
I see. And how do we fix this?
I suggest replacing the fuel pump entirely rather than repairing small parts. For the sensor, I'll install a new one and test its calibration. It will cost more than minor fixes, but it should end the cycle of repeated breakdowns.
At this point, I'd rather pay once and have peace of mind than keep coming back every few weeks.
Why might the engine cut power even if it's not overheating? The man's repeated question about breakdowns suggests he What is suggested about the previous repair's scope?
You will hear the third section of the conversation shortly.
Good decision. Once I replace the pump and the sensor, I'll also flush the cooling system to prevent overheating. But beyond that, regular maintenance will be key to avoiding future problems.
What kind of maintenance should I focus on? I've been doing oil changes, but maybe I'm missing something.
Oil changes are good, but for your engine type, you also need scheduled fuel filter replacements, coolant checks, and periodic sensor testing. Many drivers overlook these because the car runs fine until it suddenly doesn't.
That's probably what happened to me. I ignored the warning signs, thinking they weren't serious.
Exactly. For example, when you notice the temperature gauge rising, that was an early signal. If we catch these small issues early, repairs are cheaper and safer.
I'll definitely be more careful. After you fix this, how often should I come in for a checkup?
Ideally, every 6 months, or at least before long road trips. Think of it like going to a doctor for preventative checkups. It keeps the car reliable and saves you money in the long run.
That sounds reasonable. Thank you for explaining everything so clearly. I was worried it might be something unfixable, but now I feel more confident.
You're welcome. Leave the car with me today and I'll have it ready by tomorrow evening. After this repair, I expect your breakdown troubles will finally be over.
That's a huge relief. I appreciate your help.
What is the mechanic implying about the man's previous maintenance routine? Why did the man's car suddenly show problems?
You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Excuse me, is this seat taken?
Oh, no. Please go ahead. There's plenty of space here.
Thank you. It's always a bit of a challenge finding a comfortable spot on these long journeys. I'm Emma, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Emma. I'm Sophie. Are you traveling far today?
Yes, I'm heading all the way to Manchester. I've got some work meetings tomorrow. How about you?
Oh, what a coincidence. I'm also going to Manchester, though for a completely different reason. I'm visiting my cousin Claire. She recently had a baby, so I thought I'd spend a few days helping her out.
That's lovely. New babies always bring so much joy, and sleepless nights too.
Exactly. Claire sounded exhausted over the phone. I suppose she could use an extra pair of hands.
I can imagine. So, do you usually travel by train?
Quite often, yes. I find it more relaxing than driving. I can just sit back, read a book, or chat with fellow passengers like now. What about you?
Same here. I used to drive everywhere, but the traffic was unbearable. At least on the train, I can prepare for work, or sometimes just enjoy the scenery. Look at those fields. We don't get views like this when stuck on a motorway.
True. And I love how the train gives you a sense of shared experience. You meet people you would never have met otherwise.
That's so true. Last month, I ended up sharing a compartment with a retired teacher named Margaret. She had the most fascinating travel stories. She had taught in India and Kenya. I learned more in those 2 hours than from any travel documentary.
How wonderful. I hope I'm as adventurous as Margaret when I retire. For now, I mostly do short trips around the UK. The furthest I've been recently was Edinburgh. Have you been there?
Oh, yes, I went last summer. The city is incredible, full of history and charm. Did you get a chance to see the castle?
Yes, and I also wandered along the Royal Mile. I even tried haggis, though I must admit I wasn't completely convinced.
It's an acquired taste. I stuck to shortbread and whiskey when I was there.
Much safer choices. By the way, do you travel alone often for work?
Quite often, yes. At first, it felt a bit lonely, but over time, I've started to appreciate it. You notice things more when you're on your own, and sometimes you get conversations like this that make the journey enjoyable.
I agree. Traveling alone forces you out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, I would have just stared out of the window in silence.
Well, I'm glad we got to chat. It makes the ride much more pleasant.
Me too. Who knows, maybe we'll even bump into each other in Manchester.
That would be nice. For now, let's enjoy the journey.
Emma's view on traffic implies she Sophie's past trips around the UK suggest she What does Emma's anecdote about Margaret reveal about her travel perspective?
The conversation implies that chatting with strangers during travel. Why does Emma mention enjoying scenery on the train?
You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good morning, Linda. Have you seen the boundary wall between our houses? It collapsed after the heavy rain last night.
Oh, yes, Peter. I noticed it early this morning. I'm worried the fallen bricks might damage my flower beds.
I understand. The wall was already a bit weak, and the rain just made it worse. We should repair it as soon as possible.
Definitely. Do you know how long it will take to rebuild?
I spoke with a contractor, Mr. Stephen Clark. He said it could take around a week, depending on the weather and material availability.
That seems reasonable. Do you have the wall's measurements? I can help plan the repair properly.
Sure. It's about 12 feet long and 6 feet high. I want to make it stronger this time, maybe with reinforced cement.
That's a good idea. Last time it didn't have proper reinforcement, which is why it collapsed.
Exactly. Mr. Clark suggested using steel rods inside the concrete for extra strength.
Perfect. Should we also decide on the color and finish so it matches both our houses?
I was thinking light gray. It will match both exteriors nicely.
Light gray works for me. How about sharing the cost equally?
Fair enough. The estimate is $1,200, so $600 each.
Sounds good. When will the work start?
Mr. Clark is available from Wednesday. We should also move our plants and inform neighbors about the construction.
I'll move my flower pots and make sure the kids stay away.
Thanks, Linda. Once repaired, the wall will be much stronger and safer.
I'm glad we are handling this quickly. It's better than waiting for another problem.
Absolutely. I'll confirm the exact starting time with Mr. Clark and let you know.
Perfect, Peter. Thanks for taking prompt action.
No problem, Linda. Let's make sure it's done properly this time.
What underlying factor contributed most to the wall's failure? What does Peter's plan to include steel rods indicate about his priorities? Why might Linda insist on knowing the wall's measurements? What attitude does the conversation reflect regarding risk? What does the discussion of color and finish subtly reveal? How does Linda's contribution shape the repair process?
You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the drop-down menu.
In a heartwarming turn of events, a missing child was safely reunited with their family yesterday evening, ending hours of fear and uncertainty for the community. The child, aged 7, went missing in the downtown area around 3 p.m. and prompted a swift response from local authorities and volunteers. According to the police, the child was last seen near Central Park while playing with friends. Concerned family members immediately reported the disappearance, leading to the activation of an Amber Alert and a coordinated search operation involving local law enforcement, community volunteers, and nearby residents. Social media platforms were also used to spread information quickly, helping the search reach a wider audience. After several hours of intensive searching, the child was found safe and unharmed in a nearby residential area around 7 p.m. Officers confirmed that the child had wandered off, but had not been in any immediate danger. We are extremely relieved and grateful for the community's support in locating the child so quickly, said Officer Maria Thompson, who was part of the search team. Family members expressed overwhelming gratitude to the authorities and the public. The child's mother stated, "We cannot thank everyone enough for their help and concern. It was the most frightening experience of our lives, but knowing our child is safe brings immense relief." Local authorities have reminded parents and guardians about the importance of keeping a close watch on young children in public areas and educating them about safety measures. The incident also highlighted the power of community cooperation and quick communication in ensuring the safety of vulnerable individuals. The safe return of the child has been celebrated by the neighborhood, with many calling it a reminder of the strength and care within the community when people come together in times of need.
You will listen to a 2 minutes video. Then 8 questions appear. Choose the best way to answer each question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're discussing human rights violations during the Syrian conflict. Joining me are Dr. James Carter, an expert in international law, and Miss Amina Khalil, a humanitarian aid worker. Let's start with you, Dr. Carter. Could you give us an overview of the situation?
Thank you, Sarah. The Syrian conflict, which began in 2011, has seen widespread human rights abuses, including unlawful killings, torture, and forced disappearances. Various parties involved, including government forces, rebel groups, and extremist organizations, have all contributed to these violations. Civilian populations have been caught in the crossfire, and many have been displaced or forced to flee the country.
Absolutely, Dr. James. From my experience on the ground, one of the most alarming issues has been the use of chemical weapons against civilians. Hospitals have been targeted, and children have suffered immensely. The conflict has also created a severe humanitarian crisis, with millions lacking access to food, water, and healthcare.
That's deeply concerning. Dr. James, what role does international law play in addressing these violations?
Well, Sarah, international law clearly prohibits war crimes, and the United Nations has passed several resolutions condemning human rights abuses in Syria. However, enforcement has been challenging. Political complexities and lack of cooperation from certain nations have made accountability difficult. International courts can prosecute perpetrators, but many remain at large.
I would like to add that while legal frameworks are essential, immediate humanitarian aid is critical. NGOs and UN agencies have been trying to provide relief, but access is often blocked, and the security situation makes aid delivery risky. We need both justice and protection for civilians to address the crisis effectively.
Thank you, Amina. Do you think there is hope for improvement in the near future?
Improvement is possible, but it requires political will and international cooperation. Documenting violations meticulously is key to future accountability.
Yes, and supporting local communities and rebuilding infrastructure will be equally important. The people of Syria need not only legal justice, but also practical support to survive and recover from years of conflict.
Thank you both for sharing your insights. It's clear that the Syrian conflict has caused immense suffering, and addressing human rights violations remains a complex but urgent challenge.
You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the drop-down menu.
The Vietnam War had a profound impact on American society, leaving lasting effects that can still be felt decades later. Many citizens viewed the conflict as a senseless and costly war, both in terms of human lives and economic resources. For countless families, the war brought personal tragedy, as young men were drafted and sent overseas, often without clear justification or understanding of the broader political situation. This caused widespread fear and anxiety at home, particularly among parents and communities with multiple family members in service. Public opinion was sharply divided, and this division became a central feature of American society during the 1960s and 1970s. While some supported the war, believing it was essential to stop the spread of communism, others strongly opposed it, organizing protests, demonstrations, and anti-war movements. College campuses became focal points of resistance, with students questioning the morality of the war and the credibility of government leaders. This distrust in authority contributed to a broader skepticism toward political institutions and sparked demands for greater transparency from those in power. The media played a significant role in shaping public perception, as television broadcasts brought graphic images of the battlefield directly into American homes. This exposure intensified debates about the war's legitimacy and fueled social activism. Additionally, the conflict influenced popular culture, inspiring songs, films, and literature that expressed disillusionment, grief, and a desire for change. The Vietnam War also left long-term psychological and social effects on returning veterans. Many struggled with post-traumatic stress, facing difficulties reintegrating into civilian life. Society's initial lack of understanding or support for these individuals further highlighted the war's divisive impact. Beyond the immediate generation, the war shaped national conversations about foreign policy, civic responsibility, and the limits of government authority.
Visit celpipmocktest.com for authentic Celpip mock tests and see the difference in your performance.